boom, boom, ba ba boom, 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 ba bum, boom, 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 ba 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 boom, boom, ba boom, 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 ba 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 boom, boom, ba 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 boom, 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 ba dum. Na, 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 Welcome back, guys. This is Arnaldo, aka Mad Dog, and this is The Real, episode 239 of GG's The Mouthful Podcast.
GG! Sorry, I'm all.
Sir, you need
I'm all
to
stuffed
tune yourself.
it was Thanksgiving weekend, and today was leftover days, so of course I had the biggest food coma, and then I remember, oh shit, it's podcast day, so I better wake up. Got myself some coffee.
There you go.
And now I'm downing that with Corona Extra because
Oh, dude, that's like the perfect colon blow.
yeah.
Just letting you know. That's how that works.
Well, if you guys notice any weird editings in the middle of the podcast,
Just
you will know.
that's for
And
sure.
if you suddenly don't hear me, then call 911.
Just like, oh, I will message you. That voice, of course, is Mr. David Santos, aka Dream Twister. Sir, I don't know about you, but I have so much leftovers that all I'm doing is looking at it going, all right, I can't have turkey and ham for the next 5 fucking days. That's just not going to happen.
Why not? That sounds awesome.
No, you get tired of shit. It's just the way that shit works. You get tired of shit. So,
You know me, I eat the same shit all the time. And I don't mind.
this
You're
is
the one
true,
that
yes.
needs to try
Yeah,
the
this
different
is very-
spices of life.
Yes.
I'm
So that's
I'm setting my
exactly-
own ways.
That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm like, all right, so I'm going to make some turkey gumbo probably tomorrow. I'm going to take the arroz con gandules and I'm probably going to stir fry that shit and throw a fried egg on it. You know what I mean? I'm like picturing everything I can freaking do because every year it never fails. As much as, dude, there was only 6 of us here. 6 total. We're within the lines of the CDC guidelines for the record. You know what I'm saying? 6 people here, and yeah, we had so much freaking food. I'm like, what is wrong with us that we cannot cook just for a set amount of people when it comes
I'll
to
tell you what it is. Because you like cooking like you have to feed an army.
I will have you know that I did not have a turkey. We had a turkey breast, just a little butterball breast. That was it. Okay, it was like, all right, that's all we're gonna have. My sister-in-law, she's the one who made arroz con gandules. She made it in one of those huge calderos. I was like, this is to feed an army. Okay,
Yeah.
she got ham. She goes, no, it's a small ham. It comes over and it's basically the size of a turkey. I'm like, whoa, what the hell is that? You know what I mean? That is not a small ham. And then of course, of that, my wife made some sweet potato casserole. I made some baked mac and cheese. And then what else? We had some other stuff that can. Matt brought some mashed potatoes. That was it. And there was a salad, which I just think about it right now. I completely forgot we had a salad in there. We have not touched it. It's in there, still in this little container that it came in from the supermarket.
It always happens. It always happens, especially on big gatherings. You didn't have a big gathering, but I remember last year, we had one at the other house, and like, dude, my whole family, her whole family, we were there. I think my mom was here. She likes to cook also. La familia de ella is also, and at the end of it, it was time to when it was time to everybody was leaving, uh, we were actually handing like, please take take
Take
this,
shit with you.
vamos,
Yep.
take shit with you. Just enough food for a couple of days at the very least for everybody,
Yeah.
because and there was stuff that people brought como unas empanadas que alguien hizo with muchos being hidden because I would have eaten that shit up. Una empanada. Actually, I think that's what we did. We just heated them up a little bit on the oven, and we had them kind of like our goodbye empanadas,
Nice.
because nobody noticed because there was so much stuff on the table, and also on the in the kitchen,
Mhm.
because everybody's bringing food. It always happens. It always happens.
It is. It is just the way the holidays are. Even when you're trying to reduce,
Oh yeah,
because
no.
you're gonna have less folk, it's still you still cook the same way you normally cook,
Yeah,
and then this is the other thing, you start figuring out, wait, we gotta have this. We cannot have Thanksgiving without this. We'll make a small one, but
yeah,
we gotta have this. And then
yeah.
you go to the make the small one, you go, fuck it, I'm not gonna use half of this. Let's just use it all. You know what I'm saying? It's just it happens. You know what I mean? Um,
Somehow we
I
have
don't know.
cranberry pie and apple pie at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
What am
Oh,
I
and we
gonna
have
do with my
pumpkin pie.
pumpkin pie?
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what we had. We ended up getting one of those, and that was my wife's thing. Because I was telling her, honey, we have enough food. She was like, no, I want a pie. And I'm like, okay, fine, we got to get a pie then. You know what I mean? And so we had a pie.
Tradition.
It's exactly. It's one of those things, man. I don't know, but so yeah. Now I'm just planning out menus with my leftovers for the next few days here, so it doesn't the
It
food
doesn't get
doesn't wear
left
out of
over.
me. Yeah, it doesn't feel like leftover. Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Um, anyway,
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I hope that everybody had a happy and safe Thanksgiving. And yeah, man, let's get on with the
yeah,
show.
let's get on with the show, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. If this is, excuse me, your first time listen, please go to goodgame.rocks. Join the conversation there. It takes you right to our Facebook group. And of course, please like, subscribe, and share the podcast with everyone. What we normally do, first we go into what we have been up to, move on into some various news items, and then finish with our hot topic of the week. This week's hot
This week,
topic:
hot topic.
next
Console.
gen's Buggy launch. Yes,
Consoles suck now. They're like PCs.
pretty much. Yeah, they're basically anyway, but the point is it's so the point of this particular hot topic is that, as you guys may have heard, let's just say that the consoles are not 100%, you know, when it
Sounds
comes to
rough,
delivering a
but
lot of their features, and
mhm,
some of those
mhm.
features don't work correctly, and some of the games don't work all the time. They tend to crash, particularly in PlayStation 5. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what the hell did we sign up for here with this particular console launch? So we're going to get into some details as to that, and also a little bit on the shortage. I had recently came upon some news that kind of disturbed me, and kind of just left me like, you know what? I don't think I want a console right now. I almost want to say, you know what? I think I'll spring for the PS4 Pro, just just to hold me over
Just to
until
hold you over.
PlayStation 5. Yeah. So
that shit is stable as fuck. You know
yeah,
that they're releasing stability updates, stability updates. There's nothing that can topple down the PlayStation Pro at this time because that thing is stable AF.
exactly, exactly. It's had after what 40 stability updates. It can't. It's so
Everything
stable.
is
It might as well be the leaning tower of Pisa. That's not going anywhere.
That's just not going anywhere. That's the PlayStation 4 Pro. That's right.
Yeah, I agree. If I get that, I would
Actually,
have no problem getting the fucking Cyberpunk 2077. You know what I mean? So it's all right.
Eric from the group,
Mhm.
he updated his PlayStation 4 Pro, or maybe it's just a regular PlayStation. Maybe I'm making assumptions, but let's say it's a Pro because the upgrade makes more sense on a Pro. But he couldn't get, or he wasn't looking for a PS5. He wanted the speed, so he went ahead and bought an SSD and just slapped it on there on the PlayStation 4. And because
Nuts.
the SSD's price are low, and I mean, granted, you're not getting PlayStation 5 levels of speed, but you're still on most games you're still knocking down upwards of even up to 50% of your loading times with it.
Mhm.
And at first, when I saw it, I was laughing, but the more I thought about it, it's like, no, this guy has it right. It actually makes perfect
This guy's
sense.
genius. Yeah, yeah.
This guy's a genius. The prices have gone down on SSD. You could get 1 terabyte for like $99 or less on the Black Friday deals. On the Black Friday deals, you guys didn't see my quotes. Um, the and and it's so, I mean, no, you can't get a PlayStation 5 right now. You still want to play games? Sure, why not?
Hmm.
It makes sense.
Yeah. And
Especially you.
everything, I was gonna
Yeah,
say, everything is going for the most part cross gen except for Demon Souls. And that can wait. You know what I mean? That's
yeah,
Miles Morales is available now. I can get Miles Morales. I don't have to wait. It's
no,
available for me if I want to get it. We
yeah,
all know that the next Horizon is going to be cross gen as well. Okay,
yeah,
so that means again I don't have to wait I don't have to wait to get PlayStation 5 to get that game.
yeah.
So yeah, and Cyberpunk,
I was
again,
gonna
that's
say
also,
that
yeah.
means
Yeah,
you can finally play Cyberpunk
and that
and not feel
leads us
guilty
there.
about
Yeah,
it.
exactly. I think we solved next gen. You know what? We don't even need the hot top. We solved next gen right now, guys. Next gen is technically the current gen because real next gen is not here yet. At least
Next gen,
officially.
more like beta gen. Am I right?
Exactly.
No.
Precisely, sir. Precisely.
I still want a PS5.
I,
I'm not gonna get
well,
it. I'm not gonna get it on. Well, go ahead and introduce what we're up to.
oh, well,
And
I mean, yeah,
there
that's,
you go. What
let's
what
call
have I
this
been up
show.
to?
What
I'm
have we
a,
been up to, Mr. Santos? Take it away.
so I have officially given up the hunt because it's just not worth it. No, dude, I got an alert today that they were gonna at 6 o'clock at 6 p.m. There were some drops from GameStop for some bundles, and I was like, I'm not even gonna bother. I'm not even just screw it. Just screw it. I was already on the computer. I put I followed the link just to see what the status was, and it
Hmm.
showed add to cart, and I was like, I'm just gonna press add to cart just to just to see nothing's gonna happen, and of course nothing happened. I was like, yeah, that's fine.
Catch a breeze.
I think I think and it's better that way because I think if it would have actually got one, I not knowing now, with everything that has come up to be, and your decision to hold, I probably would have been like, oh man, Sophie's choice suddenly is like, what do I do?
Hmm.
But I mean, don't if you got PlayStation 5, freaking congratulations. That is awesome. You definitely have, you're playing the next gens right now. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Honestly, if I would have gotten it the day that I placed the order that supposedly got accepted, and if it wouldn't have gotten canceled, I would have been enjoying one too. Um, but now that I see how difficult it has been to acquire one, and I'm not gonna do the F5 thing anymore. I'm not gonna be, you know, uh, on the websites and checking out to getting the alerts. I disable the alerts and all that because I think, just like you said, I'm probably gonna wait uh, to see if there is a revision that, or maybe maybe our hardware revision will be too much to expect.
Too
I
far
don't
off.
think
Yeah, yeah,
too
yeah.
it's
That's
too
gonna be
far
it.
it's too far off. Not to say, not saying that, not waiting for the PlayStation 5 Slim or whatever. Not saying that, but that usually the company does some minor revisions, and it's the same system. It's the exact same
Hmm.
system on the outside. The model is the exact. I mean, the look of it is the same. The model number, the internal model number, might be slightly different. Um, like recently they did with the Switch,
Hmm.
when they upgraded the battery and whatnot.
Yeah,
So that could still happen.
a stability release.
As a
That's a much more stable version of the console they already released.
See, I think the problem with the PlayStation 5 right now, it's more software than hardware related. But anyway, I don't mean to jump into the hot topic, right now, because we want to leave that for the hot topic. So what have I been doing actually is I haven't watched any movies because you know me, I don't do those often enough to discuss. But I have been playing two games. Okay, mainly one game. Okay, mainly Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It's all I've
Okay.
been playing this entire week. So,
Wait, what's the other one? Like, at least throw it in there just so we know what the other one is.
oh, Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap.
Oh, God. Okay, never mind that
I
one.
went
Just
back.
stick with Valhalla. Thank you.
I went. I went back to. I went back to Wonder Boy. But so Assassin's Creed Valhalla, sir. I am extremely happy to report that I am having a hell of a great time with this game. So far, I still have, it's still a Ubisoft game. I feel like I still have to qualify with a so far. A lot of Ubisoft games, you kind of play them until the next better thing that you actually want to play releases. But I'm not feeling like that at all. With Valhalla. Even when I was playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and I appreciated the things that he did well, I was annoyed with I was annoyed with the thing with the experience level crap, which was already bad enough to almost ruin the game. So that was it for that. But at least I'm not having any of those issues uh, with Assassin's Creed Valhalla. The only negative that I can say right now is that uh, you could tell that it was released, you know, that it needed some polish. There were some uh, weird bugs, and
Mm-hmm.
the performance hasn't been like incredibly optimized. I wouldn't say. I would say I'm running it well. I'm running it very well, but it's mostly because I'm brute forcing it because I have a freaking 3080, and I would have expected it to perform a little bit better. But still, it is, it's incredibly playable. The the game looks very good. The story is actually has its hooks on me. Like it grabbed me. Like the character of Avior, which I said on the previous podcast. The game lets you obviously it lets you pick a gender, or it defaults to, hey, some of the sections in this game are going to be played by the male version of Avior, and some of the ones by the female version Avior, uh, or Avor, sorry. I should learn to pronounce that. Not that they're brother and sister. Not they don't have the brother and sister situation of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. This is actually just one character. There's one Avior, but apparently apparently the Animus is bugged also.
Wow.
So no,
The anime still exists.
that is lore. Oh yeah, and it's portable too now. The Animus is a little bugged. Of course, Ubisoft product, but that's lore. The the stream sometimes it throws you into the male version of Avi, or sometimes on the female version, even though it's the same freaking character and it's supposed to
Mm.
be based on a fake history. But anyway, I was having none of that. I was like, nope. I played Odyssey with Cassandra the whole way through, and so I'm playing with Eivor, and I'm glad I did because like I really like him as a character. I'm playing him as kind of a noble Viking, if you could call it that. And what I mean by that is that I'm not just being super savage just for the sake of being super savage for no reason. Like
Hmm.
I'm trying to make intelligent choices, not play.
But choices with
Well, like,
morals, or with a
yeah,
backing of moral. Okay, I got you.
yeah, exactly. And so far, I do see that your choices, uh, your choices matter in kind of like more important ways that I anticipated. I'll give you an example, and this is gonna be a little. Actually, this might be considered kind of spoilery, so uh, just don't listen to the next 2 minutes and start counting them, right now. So at one point, I have to make a decision of of killing this person or sparing them. I'm gonna be a little vague about it, so I don't give too much away. But the thing with killing him is like I mean, he's my enemy, and he has been, you know, harassing me and whatnot. But if I spare him, and the guys appreciate the fact that because he's not a bad guy. He's not a person that you just want to kill for the sake. He's just serving the opposite side. Uh, so I spared him, and he says, "Well, I'm going to do you. You've done me a great kindness. I shall return the favor. There is this wanted thing, let's call it a poster, whatever, in this section, in this area. You should go in and burn it because every zealot that reads it is gonna come hunting for you because it's basically the the order of the king who I basically ended up deposing. That was one of his mandates, to hunt me down. And I was noticing that I was getting harassed by this zealots, which is almost like in Assassin's Creed Odyssey the equivalent of the cultist, except
Okay.
that the zealots will go. If they see you, they will go after you, and sometimes they'll be like over leveled, and they can kill you with one shot. For example, if you happen to be in an area where there is a super over level zealot going around. So uh I could have just very well killed him, and I would have never known that that was a thing, that the game was gonna suddenly give me a break from being hunted by the zealots. So it's almost like now you don't have to worry about this anymore on your playthrough. And I
Okay.
was like, oh, that's kind of cool actually.
Yeah,
That,
it
that
is.
that
Yeah.
because it does have, and it's not like I mean, obviously, if I would have known that that was gonna be the choice, I would have always chosen to spare. The 2 minutes are up, so I'm not gonna continue. But I thought that was a neat choice they just gave me recently. Like I said, the characters are very interesting. I'm finding their story uh, a lot more intricate. A lot like this game is making me want to watch that show
Which
Vikings.
one? Vikings?
Yeah. And it's funny because it, it's I mean it's on that era. You are Danes. You are pagans. You believe
Mhm.
on the Norse gods and whatever, and suddenly you're in England, which is or back in those times it was mostly Christian, and you see the monasteries, and the Christian monasteries are there, and people of the Crusades and all that kind of stuff. and you go. Those are your enemies. I'm raiding. I'm literally raiding churches to get the stuff, and the guys will be like, "Strike for Christ," and I was like, "Oh God, it just feels so wrong." But at the same time, I'm having such a good time because it's so like I think they even at some point they make a jab at uh, their symbol is the symbol is the cross. Why would they have a cross be the symbol? You know, if our leader was mauled by wolves, we wouldn't put a fucking wolf as our banner. You know, it's kind of stupid like that. And then of course more rap battles,
Oh dear Lord. I haven't seen
quote
Vikings,
unquote.
but I can definitely. I saw the. I was watching the show, The Last Kingdom, which also takes place
Oh, the Last
around.
Kingdom, yes.
Yeah, which it also takes place around that time. Only, I think it's like 4 seasons. It's a Netflix show, and it's rather interesting. And it's yeah, they the Danes are
Very,
looked at a little bit differently. You have
yeah.
to kind of see it because basically, it's a they don't call them Christians. What do they call? What do they call the other ones? I can't remember what they call them now. But anyway,
Heathens? No.
they kill the father and they end up taking the son as one of their own, the Danes. So
Uh,
they raise him as one of their own, and then he comes back, and because his the land or something like that is it's interesting. Anyway, I'm not gonna
are they calling
feel
it the
like I'm
Saxon?
spoiling it here, but the
Is it
Saxons,
the
thank you.
Saxon? Ah,
That's
you know
yeah,
what?
the Saxons.
That's what they call it in. That's what they call it here. Oh shit!
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah,
watching this series now. Then it already got my interest.
yeah. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
The Saxons. Yeah, man. It's the first. It's the first time that I can say this doesn't feel again qualifying with us so far because it's still a Ubisoft game. It's just it doesn't have the trappings of the microtransaction trappings, even though it does have a store and all that. But it's I see that it's all of it is cosmetic. They're not selling you like experience boosters or anything like that. So it doesn't have the trappings of Odyssey. It has an interesting story. Again, I care nothing for what's happening on the modern era, and they must know because they only presented that to me at the very beginning when you start the game, and so far never again.
Mm,
Actually, I take it back. That's not true. Uh, but this was interesting. There are you know how those maps are filled with stuff to explore. Basically, the little blip that shows you that you're like, oh shit, I wonder what that blip is. I need to see what the hell that is. And you go in, and it might be treasure, it might be an encampment, it might be a world event, a mission or a surprise, anything, uh, or it could be this data stream puzzle thingies that I just have. I just experienced my first, and it's almost like the character of Avior. It's basically breaking out of the character, and it's your modern era character in
mm,
that world, but the puzzle that you have to solve is all electronic and shit. So it looks kind of weird. Transposing the beautiful scenery, kind of like if suddenly you realize that you're in the holodeck. You
yeah.
might be on a medieval era, but suddenly there's like a console there. That you have to press button. The computer is there or whatever. So it does have that, but the puzzle was actually entertaining too. It was a little entertaining thing to do, to kind of like break the what you're doing a little bit. And it's not too long, and it's completely optional.
Okay.
The leveling system that it has is actually quite interesting. So instead of leveling up a number, uh, you have. I mean, it's still a number, but it's almost like a power, like a power meter.
Okay.
Every time you complete well, every time you level up, for lack of a better term, every time you feel this meter up, that fills up with experience from stuff that you're doing in the world. So you get two uh, pow- power points. I was gonna call them power points. You get two ability points
PowerPoints.
basically. Yeah, you have to make a presentation in PowerPoint and for the conglomerate merger. No, um, you get this two ability points that you start unlocking on this. It's not even a skill tree anymore. It's almost like oh, what do you call that? One of the Final Fantasy had it where it's it's almost like a board, and you, as you're placing skills, it opens up other skills, but you don't get to see the other skills, or you don't get to see too far the other skills until you reach, until you unlock them.
Hmm.
So you can't. So it's almost, it's good and bad. It's bad in the sense that you can't plan your build very well because you don't see the whole skill tree. Uh, but it's good because it doesn't make you think about that. It just makes you think of, okay, what do I need right now? I don't have to worry about, oh, I'm just gonna screw myself for better part of the game because for the end game I want to be powerful because I want to have this particular skill. But in the meantime, I have to get this crappy skills in the middle, which is crap. And so it eliminates that completely, and you're just basically unlocking the skills that you will need at the moment, and at some point you can respect that. I already saw the option to respect, so I don't know if there's a cost to that. I will assume so,
Usually there is,
but
yeah.
yeah, yeah. But it's there, so you don't have to like overthink of, oh my god, am I gonna make a character that, am I gonna screw myself with this build? No, because it really doesn't matter. So that's, and as you're putting points, that's your power, your power level, and that gets measured against the next places that you want to go, that they might be too, that their power level might be too high for you to try them. I mean, you can certainly try, but you're not going to be super effective. Or like I mentioned, the zealots that come after you, or that you decide to attack.
Hmm.
um you like, my mistake was to think that I could get, I could kill a particular one that I needed, or I didn't need to kill him, but he was one of my targets on the board of salads that the game wants me to get rid of, basically. And I was like, oh, I don't have any story reason to try to defeat him, but he's here, so let me just go at him. And then I realized, without checking, his level of, or whatever, that I was way too underpowered for him. Because he shows you this big ass uh, boss type meter that every time I will hit him, it will take barely anything, and with a couple of swipes, he will just destroy me. So I was like, nope, nope,
Mm.
reload. I'm not doing this fight. So, but everything else feels good. It feels good. It doesn't feel like a throwaway Ubisoft game, which is unfortunately what I felt like Watch Dogs Legions was being like, and hence the reason why I haven't gone back to it. Because even though it's cool on that game that you could hack, and the way you could hack, and the way that you could play as any character, it just it felt a little, I don't know. Uh, I don't want to say generic because it's not like the game tries to do some interesting things, but the stuff that it was doing, it wasn't like completely grabbing me.
Yeah.
It still felt like, oh, it's your typical Ubisoft game. It's what you would expect from that type of game, or from like a Far Cry. Like, I don't believe, even if I want, if I'll be, I want to play the next Far Cry, of course, but I don't expect it to be like, oh man, this is it. This game is gonna be, that's the next game that I want to play. No, I'll play when it comes out, whenever, just because they're entertaining. They still entertain you. They still keep you occupied.
Well, that's good.
Um, so so yeah, so that is like I mentioned, I'm having a ton of blast with Valhalla, and I can't wait to go back to it. And then the other day we were talking about the soundtrack. You and I were talking about the soundtrack of Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap, and it just reminded me of how much I loved that game when I was a kid. That was one of my favorite games on the Sega Master System, and how beautiful they remade this in every in every facet, um, except for the actual gameplay. The actual gameplay itself they kept pretty much intact, because it does have the feature where you press the button and it seamlessly shows you the graphics,
The original, yeah.
the original graphics, yeah, Sega Master System graphics, and you can press another button and it does the same thing with the music, and it's cool for the nostalgia aspect, but you unless you're a purist, you wouldn't want to play it that way. But the movement, the attacks, the obstacles, everything, it's it's almost perfectly uh, brought up to 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 the modern era when they updated the graphics. Of course, the graphics now are like this incredibly gorgeous hand drawn art, uh, and they did very very well. Like you could tell it was a labor of love when it came to crafting the music for it. Um, the theme of the beach especially I particularly love, because they made that into like a salsa song. It's like literally a salsa song, and it sounds so tropical and so like it's so cool, man. That's basically what made me, because I played this game before on the Switch, but I was like, oh man, I knew I wanted to play this game, and I was very excited when I saw it, and I don't know why I stopped. Maybe it was because I was playing with the confines of the Switch. Let me just get it now that it's $7 on Steam and start playing it again. Because I recognize that the game has a dated, the gameplay is dated. It's not bad. Honestly, I don't know how far you got. Were you able to transform into any of the different
Yeah.
uh,
I think I
char-
only got like one animal, one form, I should say.
like
No, that's not true. I think there was two because one was like, oh, I was like, oh, there's another form. Okay.
the
Um,
mouse? Because that's the
I
second
think
one.
so. Yeah, I
You
think that's what
start
it was.
you start as a human. You get transformed by the first
Looked at
boss,
some
which is
sort of
actually the last
lizard or something
boss.
like that.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah,
lizard. The lizard is
yeah.
not super great. That's the first one that you select, and then so you beat another boss, and now the boss transforms you into I
A mouse
want
or
to
rat.
say it
Yeah,
was some I want to say it was a mouse.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It was something like that. I don't. I just it was something about its. I don't know.
Controller.
There was something about its control where it was like, and then obviously when you're able to switch between that and the retro one, it's like okay, so clearly the
Mm-hmm.
controls are exactly the same. They really
Mm-hmm.
did not update that. It just update and
Mm-hmm.
yes, it is a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful uh hand drawn look to it with the newest one, but it didn't it didn't hold on to me in essence. It just didn't hold
Yeah.
on to me and I
Yeah.
still have it. I don't know. I don't think it's a long game, so who knows if I ever go back
Oh
to
no
it.
no
But
no! It's you can beat. That's why I was surprised. It's like, man, you must have really not care for it, because this is a game that you can beat. I think a playthrough probably 3 hours to you. It'll be quick. Uh, it'll be super quick. So if you drop the hills because you were not feeling it at all, and I get it, because yes, it is the exact same Sega Master System gameplay, and I could and you could tell. the game is mostly for the beautiful graphics and the music, and it's because it's this is a game from my childhood. So of
And the
course I
8
want
bit,
to go back to it.
yeah, even the 8 bit one, if you really, really think back at what 8 bit games used to look like, it still looked good for what it was as well. It looked
Oh
really
yeah,
good. So
oh yeah.
it wasn't a slouch back in the day either. It's
Oh no, it
just
looks good
for
for
me,
me.
it really felt like a product of its time, and it
It's
just I
yeah,
don't know.
totally.
I couldn't get past. Yeah, yeah, it was the mouse that was the second war. I guess it looks a little similar to a mouse, but yeah, and I think was there like five total or something like that.
Yeah, it has like a lizard, a mouse, a samurai tiger, which he
Mhm.
swings his sword just like from like from the bottom down instead
Yeah.
of your excuse me, instead of your standard Swiss. Um, and it's good for certain type of enemies that you'll be battling, or some of the enemies that you might want to go back, because what the game has is it has this Metroidvania before Metroidvania was a thing,
Mhm.
where you could backtrack to areas that you have already been, and but because now you're in a different form, let's say the mouse, with the mouse you could stick to specific walls, not all the walls, but it's very it's like almost like a checkerboard pattern, and you know that, oh, if I'm playing with the mouse, he could actually like stick to them and go through the ceiling, and maybe that's the way that I can pass this obstacle. And then there's a hawk also, which you could fly, which, as you can imagine, could come in very handy for some areas uh, where uh, where where there was too many enemies on the ground. And it did that back in the day, and that's one of the things that I love. I especially love the fact that the game starts at the end of what would have been Wonder Boy 2. And I played Wonder Boy 2 to completion also back in the day, and I do remember that fight with the Mega Dragon, and that, I mean, obviously the end boss, being the end boss of the second was on the second one, was extremely difficult. It was a bitch to try to beat him. But of course, in this game, you start at the end dungeon, and I think that it's the level is called the last level, and you're like, oh, okay. And you defeat Mega Dragon in what has to be like the easiest boss fight ever, because it's just meant to set things up to, for the title screen to show up and give you
Mhm.
the, and now Wonder Boy, the Dragon's Trap. So I love that. That's, I'm talking about a game that was doing this like back in the eight bit era. You certainly didn't see a lot of that. And you're right. The graphics for that time, Sega Master System representing, they were really good. They were very 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 cool. So yeah, that's has been my Thanksgiving week,
Has been your Thanksgiving off? Okay.
and I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that Valhalla is not the suck, because I need
Let's just
something
hope
to
it
hold
has an
me.
ending. That's all we should really
Oh,
hope
you
for.
fucks! I don't even want to find out. I'm having such a good time that it would be such a disappointment if I find out that it does the same shit as Odyssey. I will stop playing it. Like, you know what? Maybe you can check for me and let me know, because I don't have the heart.
You don't have the heart to look it up.
I don't. Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't.
I
Just tell
might
me
just
if it
do
has
it.
credit. If it has credits. If not, just give me like a sign. Don't tell me directly, but just give me a sign.
Okay.
Start
All
talking
right.
shit about it. When I'm like, why is he talking shit suddenly? So defense. Oh.
There you go. There you go. That's what
That way you let
that'll be the sign.
that way you lay me down easy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I could do that. I think I could do that. Hopefully I don't have to, but yeah, I think I could do that.
Oh God,
Um,
let it not
yeah.
be crap, please.
Well, for me, I've played a few games, mostly small titles. I'm still chipping away at Spirit Fair. I don't know if I'm going to finish it. It's just really a
Wow, that
lengthy.
game's
It's a lengthy
long.
game. Yeah, yeah. It is lengthy. I actually looked it up finally, and I was like, "Ooh, this is actually meaty." This is it's
Oh,
not
oh,
a
you didn't know?
no. I didn't normally look it up. And again, it's an estimate, so it's not like it's going to work like that for everybody. But it's an
Yeah,
estimate. It's around 30 to 35 hours, and that's just regular stuff. If you don't do any of the side stuff, so it's like, oof,
yeah.
that's pretty meaty. Anyway, I played this game called Sayonara Wild Hearts, which is a
Oh,
it is literally called a pop album video game.
yes, I've seen
And
that.
yeah, and first off, the music is really cool. I'm not gonna lie, it's a really good
Oh, I
stuff.
bet.
It's sort of an on rails shooter with some QTEs and stuff like that, and it's telling like this story. Um, Basically it's sort of a woman that she's trying to figure out something in her life. She's like heartbreak or something like that, and that's really what it is. And not a long game. I finished it in one sit through, and it's really really, but
Mhm,
it's really fun, really really
mhm.
fast, really fast paced. It's
Yeah.
like you're flying through stuff half the time. Sometimes you're on a motorcycle, sometimes you're on a skateboard, sometimes you're just running, sometimes, and it's just flying. It's like, whoa, this is a it's really really fast paced. The art style is very different, almost pastel like, but still 3D, and really cool. I got it on a sale, and it's really fun. And I actually went and got the on Spotify and added the
Uh,
soundtrack to my library, because I was like, this is actually good music here. But anyway, really cool. It's available on PlayStation 4, Switch. Doesn't say anything about Xbox here, but it is on Apple Arcade. Oh, there goes Xbox One and Steam.
oh.
Um, it's from Annapurna. So obviously, I love Annapurna. So that's the producers for the record. Simogo is the developer, and it's really good stuff. I can't. There's not really a lot to say on it. It's not a very long game, as I mentioned. It's really just like, it's almost like it's almost like one of those old school shooters. But it's got a little bit of a story, and the music is really what kind of kept me like, oh, this is jamming. And you also the QTEs and everything are very rhythmic. It's kind of part of the rhythm and the
Uh,
beats that are going. So you don't even need to know. You don't have to actually
yeah,
look. You could just kind of go with the music sometimes, and it's pretty cool. It's good stuff.
nice.
So if you happen to see it in a sale and you just want something real quick, that's definitely fun. Second game I played was Far Lone Sales, and this game is also available on everything. This is a game by, let me see if I get the name of the dev here, but um, essentially it is, I can't find that. Okomotive is the developer. This is a surprising game. Like, I've seen it a
Uh,
few times, and I was like, oh man, I mean, it looks very different. Very, when I see it, I see usually these still pictures, and what it shows is like a ship
uh,
that's with sails, but like with wheels, and it's kind of just sailing across a desert or something like that. And that's all I've seen, and I've heard lots of good things about it. And so I was like, I will see, whatever. And then boom, got a sale. So I was like, all right, well, it's on a sale. Let me grab it now. I think I mentioned this a couple episodes back
mm.
on air, saying that, yeah, I got it just now for $7 or something like that. And let me tell you how surprising this game is. I didn't realize
Fuck.
the similarities that this game shares with games like Limbo and like Inside. And
Oh yes, you did mention that to me, and I saw that trailer, and I was like, huh.
yeah,
Okay, I can definitely see. I can definitely see how it has those vibe of
it's
limbo,
very
and
similar in the sense that you're
yeah,
always going from left to right.
yeah,
And so what you're doing, so the main thing of the story is that you have this ship. It's hard to say it's a ship or a land skiff or who knows what it's called, but it's basically a machine that you're using to ride across uh this land essentially, right? And so the ship runs on fuel, and so you collect fuel from outside, and you can and basically put it into the. So you have to actually manually put it into into the section where it needs the fuel. You go
Mhm.
control the throttle. There's a steam lever that you have to let out steam every so often because otherwise the engine can overheat. And then it just moves, right? And then at some point you end up getting a sail, and when you get the sail, there's like a flag on the front of the ship that kind of tells you where the wind's blowing. And if it's blowing in the right direction, throw the sail up. Don't worry about the engine. It's just going to move on its own, because it's going to go by the
Mm.
sail. And the music is really cool. Visually, it's a very stunning game for what they're showing. Just like any, again, think Limbo, think Inside.
Uh-huh.
And that's really it. You're just trying to get your thing. And of course, there are puzzles. Sometimes you get to a point where the ship cannot pass, so you have to figure out the stuff around it. So you can
Mhm.
either get lifted. Maybe there's a lift, or maybe there's something blocking. You can knock down so it can keep going. um, and you run into storms, and sometimes the storms fuck up your ship. You know what I mean? So you have to get out and repair it, and it's it's really cool. At first, when I first thought about it, the only thing I can think of was the freaking Jawas in Tatooine, and I was like, "This is like the story of the original Jawa because it's this tiny little character that it's in a little red cloak." You know what I'm saying? And I was like, and then he or she is in this big machine that's going across the desert area and all this. And that's the first thing that came to mind, dude. I was like,
I,
oh dear Lord, Star
I think
Wars
you
will
might.
never.
I think you might have just given EA an idea for Star Wars Java Simulator or
Yeah,
something like that. Which I'm
pretty much.
shocked that it hasn't been out yet. Or you probably should. You probably should approach EA and
Yeah.
put the idea to see.
Patent the idea, and then or they approach Disney. Fuck EA. I'm gonna go to the top. You know what I mean? It's like, guys, you need to make EA make this. But anyway, it's a lot. It was very. I can't say it's fun. It is fun to do because you're controlling the ship, and it's kind of cool to.
I can't say it's fun.
Well, I don't. What I'm trying to say is, it's not the type of game that you would call fun. It's still enjoyable, but it's just not
Uh,
like Fall Guys. That's fun. You know what I'm saying?
oh, gotcha, gotcha, yeah.
I can't say that this is that. You know what I mean? But this is still enjoyable. Visually, really, really good, and again, the music really lends to what it is that's going on in the world. And you don't really know it. Very similar to, like I said, Inside and Limbo. There's not a lot of explanation. You kind of figure out how to use a ship as you go.
Mhm.
There's no instructions. You do figure out pretty quickly you need fuel. So as the ship is passing by, sometimes you'll stop the ship. I didn't even know there was brakes till about halfway through. I was like, oh, that's a brake button. Shit, I
Oh.
never even saw that there. I just let the thing come to a rolling stop. That's what I was doing, and
Yeah.
then I'd have to go like really far away, grab the cans that I saw, and come back. And then realize I had a brake that could just stop the thing right there. I was like, oh shit. So yeah, guys, there's a brake. Just make sure make sure you use it. There's little places you can hang your fuel, and the inside of the ship is designed pretty well. um Again, it's very abstract sometimes because it doesn't really say why you're doing this
Mm.
thing. You kind of see a little bit in the beginning. You just kind of have to put together what happened here and why your character's doing this. And when you
Uh,
get to the end, it's kind of in the lines of Inside, where you're left with like, okay. You know what I mean? So, but it's not bad. It's about the journey at that point. And again, also feels like Journey a little bit because your little characters cloaked in red.
I was gonna
um
say.
yeah, yeah, so it's pulling from a lot of different places, but I can definitely recommend. If you liked Inside or you like Limbo, this is right up your alley. There's no way you're not going to enjoy this, particularly since it's so visually stunning. It really is.
Mm.
So again, that's Far colon Lone Sales. That's the actual name. So those are the two games I played outside of Spirit Fair. And I did watch a couple of films. My wife and I are doing this thing where we will, like, right now it's her turn, and whenever we go to sit and watch a movie, it's whatever she wants. And I don't question it. I just
Wow.
put it on, and she doesn't even have to tell me. She put it on, and it just, okay. This is her choice.
Yeah.
And then that's that. And then of course the next time will be my choice, and it could be anything. Again, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's you don't you don't say no. I'm gonna no no. It's your turn, so you get to put whatever it is you want. You know, and it could be
Yeah.
something you've seen before. It could be whatever. And so honestly, it's actually been so far pretty cool because it's like these movies that I want to watch, and I'm like, I don't know if she's into it. But now when there's like, well, there's no option, so we just you know, and I assume it's the same thing. She ended up picking Flight of the Phoenix, which is
uh,
a 2004 film that stars Dennis Quaid, and it has Tyrese Gibson. It's an interesting Giovanni Ribisi, interesting cast. So what basically is this crew has been shut down in the middle of the desert. They're trying to look for oil. They don't ever get out. They don't ever find the oil, and they've been shut down. So Dennis Quaid and Tyrese Gibson comes in this huge plane, one of those big planes, cargo planes,
uh,
and basically tells them, pack this shit up and let's go. We got to get out. You've been the plug's been pulled on you guys. Let's just go. And so then they're flying in the desert. There's a like a, what do you call those, sandstorm,
uh,
and then it causes them to crash. So now they're in the desert, the Gobi Desert, okay, and
oh,
they have to try to survive and figure out how to um how to survive essentially.
yeah.
And so that's the story. And so it's
Have you seen
actually
it?
kind of yeah, we saw it. That was the I've never seen it before, and she never
Oh,
seen it
yeah.
before.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Sorry
yeah. I've
about
never seen it before. And I like Dennis Quaid. And he played a pretty good role here. The desert really is an unforgiving thing. It's very similar to a lot of the movies we've seen that kind of have that same thing where it's like they're stuck in the middle of nowhere, just trying to survive.
yeah.
Anaconda had a little bit of that.
Hmm.
With the Anaconda was coming out. The Gray had a little bit with the wolves. Well, here there's nothing particularly out there except for the elements themselves. And
Uh,
obviously they're taking care of how much water they have and the water intake and all this because they have to be able to survive as long as possible. They try
mm,
to make plans, and anyway, it's actually pretty cool. Pretty cool. I enjoyed it. It's a fun movie for sure, for sure.
okay.
And then the one I picked recently was 1981's Thief, which is actually a Michael. Oh no, what's his name? Well, let me. I should know
Not
his name
Bay.
considering the what?
Not Bay.
No, not Bay. Michael Mann. Michael Mann
Michael Mann.
film. And if you know Michael Mann, he produced a lot of the what do you call it, Miami Vice films. He's done a lot. He did obviously the movie Miami Vice with Colin Farrell. He's also produced a lot of movies you probably heard of, Last of the Mohicans and stuff like that. So this is a very early, uh, a very early Michael Mann film,
Hmm.
starring James Caan, and basically he's a thief, clearly from the name, and so he is trying to do that last score and gets in with the wrong people. This tale we've heard many, many, many a times. I mean, I think there's a Grand Theft Auto based on this probably at
Yes,
some point.
I think so.
Yeah, and so yeah, so that's basically it. But the difference is that it takes place in the 80s. It's very synth heavy. It's very it looks and feels like an early 80s 1981 film. And so this is before so I think one of Michael Mann's best films is probably the movie Heat. And
Uh,
hold on, let me bring it up, make sure that that's his. It should be his.
I think so because
Uh,
I was thinking of that when you say the name. For some
the
reason,
yeah,
I was
yeah,
thinking,
he was a producer of Heat, but yeah, you can definitely feel a lot of Michael Mann in Heat. And so this has a lot of that. If you've seen Heat, have you seen Heat,
yeah.
David?
I
Yeah.
mean, a long
So
time ago in a galaxy far, far away. But yes.
so Robert De Niro is the thief in the movie Heat, and so his character shares a lot of similarities to the character of James Caan's character from here, in the sense that he is on point with everything. He how do I say, he prepares. He's 100% a preparer before he does anything, and it always works for him. Why? Because he was prepared. He thought of every angle before he did anything. The main difference from the two films is that he also half of that film is also based on the cop that's chasing Robert De Niro, which is played by Al Pacino. Here,
Mm,
there is no cop character. There's cops messing with this guy, but they're not the central focus. It's the whole story is the focus of James Caan, the
mm,
thief. And so it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I've been wanting to see it for a while because it's been compared to a lot of films that I've seen. Uh, uh, Drive being one of them as well, which I love Drive. So I was like, oh,
mm.
I'm gonna have to see Thief because they threw this into comparison. So, so yeah, so those are the two movies I saw, and I can definitely recommend them both. But they're both very different, for the record. But that is all I've been doing. And by the way, Avatar is probably one of the most overrated films of
Yeah.
all time. Of all time. That's not even an
Yeah.
exaggeration. That's not overrated. The statement saying that's overrated is not overrated. Just saying.
No, yeah, I kind of agree. I never understood. I didn't hate it,
Me either.
but
It's not a bad film, but it's
no,
not the best film there of or whatever. So no.
it wasn't like. Yeah. Well, anyway, I've seen better.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah,
I've seen films that are an hour and a half that are way better than that 2.5, 3 hour bullshit. Or it's not bullshit, but you know what I mean.
it's kind of bullshit a little bit.
Just a wee bit.
Yeah,
And we're back, guys, and it is time for our useless news that you can use. And to
100%
say
Avatar free.
yes, no Avatar for this particular news
Segment. Yeah.
segment. That said, you can definitely say this is a light week thanks to the holiday because there really isn't a lot going on. So I'm just going to start with some delays because, well, that's always news, right? Studio MDHR says it will not compromise quality for the DLC of Cuphead. Cuphead's final episode is going to need even more time in the oven. Developer Studio MDHR announced this past Wednesday that Cuphead The Delicious Last Course has been delayed to 2021. The add on was originally planned for release back in 2019, but was delayed to summer of this year. Unfortunately, summer of this year included a pandemic that they probably didn't see coming. Now, the game's final piece of downloadable content is now slated for next year. So we will see how that unfolds.
Cuphead DLC. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Cup is great, dude. It's
We're gonna
hard as
re-
fuck, bro.
wh-
It's
when
not easy.
when are they gonna release the easy patch?
No, I don't want the easy patch. I don't want an easy patch.
I know.
Yeah.
I just got hurt. I heard Sparrow explode.
Oh
I
yeah,
was kidding. I was
yeah.
joking. I was joshing.
It's just joshing, just
I'm
joshing.
just joshing. Although I still subscribe to the fact that there's nothing wrong if they decide to do it. Just saying. But I'm joking. I don't want to hear about
Fine, I won't say anything about it.
it. And neither do you, Sparrow. Shout out to Sparrow Wolf.
Shout out to Sparrow.
Yes. And to Chaos Reaper, which we still miss.
Oh, we are
Sorry.
definitely going to do our game of the year episode. We'll probably be
Yes.
on a. We'll probably record it on an off day and still like get it up and ready to go for the regular time.
Fuck it.
Because
We could just do it whenever. We could just do. We could even have the episode be just that, and just extend it. You know what?
yeah,
Just do the listing live like we did for one thing. I don't remember what it was, and just make it a 3 hour special of just us trying to figure out which game gets game of the year on the different categories, on the official GG categories. Yeah.
yes, I can't wait to bring those back. And who knows? We'll maybe throw a new category here and there.
Oh.
See what happens. Let's see what happens. What's your news piece, sir?
Uh, So, as you guys know, uh, the Xbox Series X is the most powerful next gen console on paper, because that's not what the real world comparisons are showing. Uh oh. The Xbox Series X is more powerful than PlayStation 5. This fact this fact has been discussed to death ahead of launch, and the gap was enough for Microsoft to make a big deal out of it on the marketing leading to up to launch. Well, that's not the story launch games tell, where Xbox Series X, in most cases, uh, at best, is matching the PlayStation 5, and inexplicably falling below Sony's console at worst. Uh,
Damn.
yeah, I've seen at least a couple of examples, but there have been more. This is based on Digital Foundry's testing, which has so far shown this lead in games like Devil May Cry 5 Special Editions, 120 frames per second performance mode to start. Assassin's Creed Valhalla likewise suffers similar problems with dips below 60 frames per second and screen tearing on Xbox Series X, something not present on PlayStation 5. In Dirt 5, the PlayStation 5 has a lead in both image quality and performance modes, with more detailed image across no, with a more detailed image across both modes in PlayStation 5. That is, according to The Verge, this may be a side effect of developers receiving Xbox Series X dev kits later than PS5. Developers were also told the site uh, that they were only allowed to submit Xbox Series X games for certification in June after Microsoft updated its uh, game develop game developers kit, the GDK toolset. Unsurprisingly, Microsoft has been keeping an eye on all of this, and they say that they're working with developers on rectifying these disparities.
Mm.
There's a quote here that says, "We're aware of the performance issues in a handful of optimized titles on Xbox Series X and S, and are actively working with our partners to identify and resolve the issue to ensure an optimal experience." A Microsoft spokesperson told The Verge. Uh, as we in the quote, there's another quote. As we begin a new console generation, our partners are just now scratching the surface of what the next generation consoles can do, and minor bug fixes are expected as they learn how to take full advantage of our new platform. We're eager to continue working with developers to further explore the capabilities of the Xbox Series X and S in the future. End quote. So, yeah,
Interesting.
this. I mean, I want to address the fact that this article makes it sound at first like they would have expected like a major performance difference between Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5, and honestly I wouldn't have expected that. I don't think Digital Foundry would have expected that. Something, maybe something akin to what Xbox is experiencing, but no, but not even, because he look specs wise, even even though the the PlayStation on the Xbox Series X on paper has the Meteor hardware, uh, the when on when the games were were coming out, they don't necessarily, the difference is not that major that it'll show that it'll be something that people should be, concerned about. Like people should be using as some sort of of ammunition on console warring, and we know
Hmm.
that of course Microsoft is going to use it as as ammunition for this, because I mean, let's face it, what else do they have? You know, but they're realizing that a handful of games they seem to have been either better optimized for the PlayStation 5, or actually, I think that's what it is. I think they're just being better optimized for the
Yeah, I
PlayStation
was
5.
gonna say that
PlayStation
has
5
to
is
be what
look,
it is. Yeah.
it's being looked as the lead platform basically because let's face it, developers know which systems which system is it's gonna take off this generation by historically looking at what happened with the PlayStation 4 and the position that Xbox is right now. So I think it's a matter of that. I think when the games are out and there'll be enough parity where it won't really matter. And yes, Xbox has features right now that PlayStation 5 does not, but like the variable refresh rate that we mentioned past few podcasts, but that has been something that Sony has already committed to bringing. So that's
Mm.
just, I mean, that's just the hardware can do it. We already know the hardware can do it because it's basically the same fucking hardware, basically, on the two. So in this particular scenario, if PCs can do it and Xbox can do it, PlayStation 5 can do it. So cool your jets.
Yeah, I agree. Cool your jets. Speaking of jets,
Jets, ooh,
I
Ace
yeah,
Combat 7, Ace Combat 8.
actually have nothing to do with jets. I was just trying to do a segue here for no reason.
Ah, you
We
fail.
have we have
Good though.
December's free games for PlayStation Plus and Xbox Games with Gold.
Oh,
Whew, I forgot about
oh.
the name of there. We're going to start with, of course, Xbox Games with Gold. Volition standalone Saints Row 4 expansion, which debuted in January of 2015 on the Xbox 360 and a variety of other platforms, will be available for free from December 1st to the 15th. The free Xbox 360 title for the second half of the month will be Stacking, the 2011 puzzle adventure game from Double Fine Productions, one that I've actually personally wanted to get at one point or another. Fun fact,
Ah,
if you know, Microsoft acquired Double Fine in 2019. So
yeah.
there you go. The two Xbox One games that are coming to Gold subscribers in December are lesser known titles. First up is The Raven Remastered, which will be available all month long. It's a 2018 remaster of a point and click detective adventure that was originally released back in 2013. And from December 16th through January 15th, the free game will be Bleed 2, side scrolling arcade action title. All four games, of course, are playable on the Series X and S via the backwards compatibility. And until they arrive in December, some of the November games are still available.
Okay. Well, they weren't garbagey.
I'm
It
only
could have been
knowing
worse.
I'm not a fan of the Saints Row, so that's
No,
definitely
me,
not
me,
up my
me
alley.
neither. Me neither.
Stacking, on the other hand, is actually a good looking game that I always wanted to get, and
Mm.
well, just kind of missed me basically. So yeah, so those are for Xbox. For PlayStation, PlayStation subscribers will get access to 3 games in December as a part of the subscription. The first one is Just Cause 4, which is from Square Enix Avalanche Studios, released back in 2018. Of course, he stars Rico Rodriguez, an open world crazy adventure. The second game is Rocket Arena, which released in July of this year. The colorful 3 versus 3 shooter was developed by Final Strike Games and published by EA. It is a kid friendly shooter that blends Quake style combat with Smash Brothers levels of violence. And finally, Worms Rumble will make its PlayStation debut in December, bringing 32-player real time action crossplay multiplayer to
Oh.
PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. And so those are the 3 titles available for PlayStation Plus.
Okay. All right. Well,
That's all
there's
right.
there's something. Yeah, it's all
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Nobody expected. I mean, this is launch month, launch window for this console, so you're not gonna get Demon Souls on
No,
Xbox.
not happening, guys. Not
You
happening.
know?
Although to be fair, Worms Rumble is this is a launch on that on PlayStation, so it's coming to the
Yeah,
platform automatically
yeah,
free.
that's true.
And Worms is, it's not obviously a top tier game, but it's definitely one of the B tiers that seems to have a uh many titles within its history. So
True,
who knows?
true. All right. Oh, too bad. They could have actually gotten Marvel Avengers. Either one of them could have gotten this. I mean, I heard they're giving the game for free now.
Ugh.
Not quite. Uh, S- Marvel's Avengers fails to meet Square Enix sales targets. Comes as no surprise, absolutely no surprise to anyone whatsoever. Square Enix has explained that sales of Marvel Avengers were lower than expected and that the advertising push for the title has also proved costly. Commenting on the game's performance in a translated version of Square's recent fiscal briefing, company president and representative director Yosuke Matsuda said its HD subsegment posted a loss. Okay, I didn't know they call it the HD subsegment. Okay, uh, it posted a loss because Marvel Avengers failed to meet internal sales target. Sales of the game were low, and this is the quote: "Sales of the game were lower than we had expected and unable to completely offset the amortization of the game's development costs." They commented. In the second half of the fiscal year, we had hoped to make up for slow initial sales by offering ample additional content to grow our sales. So basically, by the way, end quote. So basically, their plan to remedy this is, well, let's just throw more DLC at it.
Oh, jeez.
Let's just have them spend more money on it, which I think is it's brilliant because the game the game needs to. Yeah, this is this is probably not what the game needs right now. I mean, yes, content absolutely 100%, but the way they're making it sound is like, oh no, it's just more stuff to buy for a game that you're not playing, which is.
Yeah.
The The quote continues. In addition to the amortization of that game's development costs, another significant factor associated with the title was the fact that we undertook a major advertising campaign at the time of its launch to make up for the delays in our marketing efforts resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic. Continued Matsuda. Uh, there is a certain amount of development costs still to be amortized in the third quarter, but we want to recoup that sorry, but we want to recoup it by growing our sales going forward. Uh, and then it goes when asked what the profitability of the game could look like in the next quarter, Matsuda seemed to skirt the question by explaining Square is solely focused on adding more sales. With that in mind, it'll be interesting to see how the high profile title is shaping up when the company releases its next set of financials. So another story. Uh, this comes as no surprise. I mean, the game didn't receive stellar reviews. It was grindy. It looked boring. It didn't look that great. It looks like Square fumbled an idea that could have actually been something. Like there's no reason to make an Avengers live service
Live
game. That is
service.
the
Yeah,
most
exactly.
ridiculous idea. It's like it,
It
the
it
material's
wasn't
not there for it.
it wasn't at the time, right? If you think about when you first heard of the announcement of the Square Enix game that's gonna be coming, whatever, it's like we heard about it. I think at this point, like 3.5 years ago. You know what I mean? And at that point, they had been working on it already for a little bit. So at the time, maybe. You know what I mean? And like if we were releasing it at that very moment, maybe it would have some legs and survive. But since then, we've had how many other service games,
How many
come
more
out, and
gases?
gases. Yeah, how many more gases we had come out, and it's just like at this point, it's just late to the party. It's late to the party, and it's not there with the content. You know what I
Uh,
mean? It's basically a single player game that they want you to come back to. You know what I
it,
mean? Like you can actually play the game and as just one player, and apparently it's fun. You know what I mean? But that's it. You
it
play it, you move on. That's just they should have just left it that way.
I think there was a collective sigh when they announced when we all found out that it was gonna be a live service
A
game
gas, yeah. I was like,
it,
oh,
because the I mean the developers these are the people that of the Lara Croft games, which are those are really good games. You don't you, and they have never worked on a live service game. And there was a potential here to have a pretty cool uh, Avengers story, and yeah, people can say what they want about but they all look like the stun doubles of the actual Avengers. It's like no, because they were not basing it on the Marvel characters.
yeah,
Like people automatically, it's not Square's fault that your mind will immediately go to the Avenger to the Marvel Cinematic Universe when you think of the Avengers, because that's just a facet of what the Avengers is. It's like expecting, it's like thinking like this kind of thing didn't happen when they announced, Marvel's Spider-Man. They called it Marvel Spider-Man on PlayStation, and the character of Spider-Man didn't look like the Spider-Man of the cinematic universe, or from the Tobey Maguire era or anything like that. If anything, we're complaining because we like the character that they did original for the game so much that now that Sony's fucking with it for the PS5 release, people are like, no, this is not my Spider-Man. Like,
yeah,
bring back my actor. Who the hell is this? Imposter. I can't say that word. Anyway, I just think I find it hilarious that the resolution seems to be like, well, just let's bring more DLC, more DLC, more DLC. It's like
I
content.
mean,
I get it.
yeah, I was gonna say that's the lifeblood of these games. You have to have content for people to come back to. But again, I just no one put together that this was the type of game that would be a persistent world that you need to
Mm,
come back to all the time, and people move on. It's like
mm,
every other Marvel game is like that. Or it's like, hey, you play it and you move on. So I
yeah.
don't know how do they get that message out in front of these people, but good luck. I mean,
But
that's all I can say is good luck.
this is not. It doesn't look like this is the type of game that you just fix by adding stuff to it. This is. I mean, this is not as horrible as Fallout 76 was, but it seems like it almost required like a reworking of some of his system, because the problem that he has right now is that people just found it too stale. It's fun to punch things for a little bit, yeah, but when obviously on a gas game, you got to make sure that you have your gameplay, your gameplay loop has to be tight, has to be like really really fun, because it's just gonna wear out very thin, and then you're gonna you're gonna see you're gonna realize that yeah, this world is kind of uninteresting, really.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah, I
this
know
is
it.
not this is not no bueno. So anyway,
All right. Well, my final piece, sir. If you were one of the lucky ones to have been able
uh
to buy a PlayStation 5, you know that you get a PlayStation Plus subscription, that with your PlayStation subscription comes access to the PlayStation Plus collection. 20 well loved, properly good PlayStation 4 games. But if you're
mhm.
still on PlayStation 4, that bundle is not available to you. Well, it ain't take long to figure out that if they logged into a PS5 with their PS4 details, it triggered a lot of their it triggered a lot into their account. It
Oh,
unlocked the playback on the older machine. And as VGC
oh,
reports, that quickly led to naughty PlayStation 5 owners selling the opportunity on auction sites. Of course, Sony has swooped in and is banning these members in the in their wake.
Te
Uh,
jodieron.
Te jodieron, sí. It really doesn't surprise anyone that Sony would look down on this practice. It's one thing to ask your buddy to log in as you on their new machine to gain access to game to with the likes of God of War, Arkham Knight, Fallout 4.
Yeah,
Shadow's
some good
here.
titles
What's
there.
up, Shadow?
The
Last of Us
Shadow.
remastered. Yes, she just came in. She's quick little visit from that. I'm telling you, she just pulls out of the shadows, man. I'm
A
telling you.
shadow appears. Quick, throw a Pokeball
I know. Maybe we
so we
can
can
capture
capture
her,
her
keep
again.
her forever.
Yes. We miss you,
uh,
Shadow.
so anyway, in short, Sony obviously has been shutting people down. Of course, this has rubbed some people the wrong way, saying that Sony maybe response is a little bit too harsh. Of course, this is only coming from the people who are receiving said bans. You know what I mean?
It's too harsh. All I'm doing is stealing games, like literally, and you're punishing me. Oh my god.
I agree. I agree. I have no sympathy for any of these fools who are doing it. However, I got to give A for effort. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I gotta give credit where credit's due. That is definitely something I never even thought of would be possible. I thought it would only obviously unlock on PlayStation 5, but
Yeah.
no, it unlocks on PlayStation 4, and man,
So if we unlock on PlayStation 4, does that mean then they get to keep it, or do they have to? If they log back in with their own account, they get to keep those games, or
well,
is
I
it
mean, I would think it's still available to you, but I think the problem is that you're logging into their accounts are being frozen and locked out. So I think anybody who's using that account information is also now frozen and locked out. Let's like for you, for instance, I've logged into your PlayStation 4, so you have access to the library I have, right?
Mhm.
And that's fine. That's actually allowed. That's a way of game sharing. It's not something that's frowned upon.
Mhm.
But it's also it's maximum two PlayStation 4s, right? You're not going to be
Right.
able to put your information more than two PlayStation 4s. Here, I'm not sure how they were doing it, but I think it was just unlocking in general. All you have to do is use log in, provide the login information to the PlayStation 5 person. They would log into their PlayStation 5. That unlocks these games in the PlayStation 4 from the person that
I'm thinking maybe it just unlocks it for them, and then that's it. They don't, because that's the only way that you will do it on mass, right? That you
I
can
would
have it
think
like
so. You can
so.
be able to do it more than once, unless they just didn't. They really just didn't think it like Sony didn't really, which is possible because let's
Yeah.
be real, Sony is not 100% on top of shit half the time. But
No, but honestly, I think maybe yes. You should obviously the terms of service, which nobody reads, but they clearly say that if you're caught exploiting something, you're gonna get banned. There's no doubt there. Uh, and maybe just straight out like completely banning them, it it might be too harsh for an exploit that Sony, for a problem that it's Sony's responsibility to make sure they lock that shit up. So removing the games would have made perfect sense. Uh, do they specify if this is a permaban or if it's a
they
30
did.
day?
It is a perma ban.
It is a permaban. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think honestly, all joking aside, I think that's a little bit too much. This should have been
Yeah, because it wasn't
like a
restricted. Yeah. You know what I mean?
it,
Yeah.
yeah. It seems like the problem was on Sony's end, and if anything, these people made Sony aware of it so they can lock that now and prevent it from from
Yeah. Right
happening.
now, the ones who are the PlayStation 5s caught up in it are seeing a perma ban, while the purchasers, the PlayStation 4 guys who are trying to take advantage of it, are looking at a 2-month ban. So
Oh, okay. So there you go. That
yeah.
that that makes sense. A 2 month ban, yes, absolutely, I agree. That is the proper punishment for exploiting something that
Well,
it
no,
was
remember
Sony's
there's
fault.
two. It's a 2-month ban for, let's say you're the PlayStation 4 person looking to get
Uh,
access.
yeah.
You get a 2-month ban. But if
Yes.
you're the PlayStation 5 owner who are selling the access, you get a perma ban.
and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
was gonna
yeah,
say that. Make sure
yeah.
you got that. Yeah.
That is fair because the person should not be reselling stuff. A period.
Exactly.
There's no way to justify that. You already fucked up, son. So you know, you
You
enjoy.
asked for this shit.
You asked for the banhammer and enjoy your level one trophy. uh, but the people taking advantage of it, I mean, this is a slap on the wrist, if anything. Yeah, granted, it hurts because for 2 months, pero
At least.
you
At
were
least.
taking
Yeah.
at least you were taking advantage of an exploit.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly. You
the
got you, you
moral.
share
Don't do it.
you share in the in the guilt, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? And
yeah,
you
yeah,
can't deny that. Obviously, you knew what they were selling. You knew you didn't have a PlayStation 5. You
yeah,
knew that this would gain you access to something that you shouldn't have access to because it was
yeah,
specifically made for PlayStation 5. So don't act like, you know, don't act like you're high and mighty on this, you know.
yeah.
As for the PlayStation 5 guys, same exact thing. You had to set this up to sell that stuff, and you knew you're selling stuff that does not belong to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it's like, yeah, I agree.
exactly,
I agree.
exactly. I think it's
I
fair.
think it's fair.
I think it's fair. I think it's fair. What is not fair, and I just realized it as I was reading this, my last piece of news, which is nothing major because let's face it, we're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel here. But Star Wars Squadrons just got a 120 FPS support on Xbox Series X and S, but not on PS5. What the
Oh
fuck,
well,
man? Like, come on. Why not? Why you gotta be like that?
because it's
Star Wars.
EA, and EA has, has more partnership with Xbox. I mean, we know that.
Oh, boo,
I know.
boo.
That's a,
That's the kind of disparity that I don't care for. When you got the haves and the have-nots, and people are gonna be like, "Well, if you wanna, if you should have gotten the Xbox version." Da, da, da. It's like, no. First of all, fuck off, fanboy. Fuck off, fanboy. uh, and second, it's not a big deal. It's just Star Wars Squadron, which is a great game. Actually, you know what? I was gonna say I think Star Wars Rock Squadron is on my list. It has to be. I had way too much fun with that game not to have it on the list.
a game
Uh,
a year. Well, that's fine
yeah,
because you missed out on a lot of other
I
games. So
missed
that's
out
fine.
on a lot. Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's
So,
why I gotta fill it
yeah.
with something. I
True.
gotta
True
put
that.
something on it. It's gonna be on my personal, not on our end, on ours. That one will mostly be deferred to you, sir. Uh, Star Wars Squadrons is receiving a big patch, or have received a big patch on Thursday. Uh, that squashes a few bugs and adds 120 frames per second support on Xbox Series S and X. EA previously outlined Star Wars Squadron's next generation patch, uh, in which the publisher promised it would add a slew of new features to the game on both Sony and Microsoft consoles. However, only the latter set of hardware is going to get the option to play at 120 frames per second. PlayStation 5 players aren't being left behind entirely, though, as, quote, improved visual quality and lighting, end quote, have been added to Sony's next generation consoles, along with variable refresh rate support, if your TV can deal with it. I thought
Hmm.
PlayStation 5 couldn't do variable refresh rate. Anyway, uh, Xbox players have slightly more options to play with. If you choose improved visual quality, the game will have a focus on providing improved lighting, where it will run at up to 100, up to 1440p at 60 frames per second on the Series S, and 2160p, which is basically 4K, at 60 frames on Series X. If you choose performance mode, the game will run 1440p at 120, uh, or up to 2160p at 120, depending on if you're playing on the Series S or X, respectively. So it, this, th- I like. like I mentioned, I like Squadrons a whole lot. I am glad that they after they say, oh no, we're not gonna be putting content for it. This is just a $40 thing that we're doing, and da da da. The game has seen uh, definitely the support of players. The numbers are there. People are playing it. I don't know exactly how it's looking on consoles. Well, I should tell you, this game has I have seen this game go as down as $17 on
Mm.
Black Friday on GameStop. Um, I would say, I mean, it's 100% worth it. This game is it's really good. At that price, it's a steal. Uh, I don't understand what the deal is with not having the 120 frames per second on PS5. Like, what? PlayStation can't do it. Obviously, it can. Again, we have
Yeah,
already
sure it
established
can.
it's
Yeah.
the same hardware. So I don't know what the deal with that is. But whatever, I'm not sure how much of a difference that makes in this type of game. Again, but who knows?
So has to be seen. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, stick around. We'll be right back with our hot topic.
Oh, damn it! We're recording already.
Yes, we are, and we're back, and it is now time for the hot topic of the week.
Hot topic, sir. Can I, before we go into the full topic of the week, can I just do a micro rant about Black
Sure.
Friday?
Oh,
What a
by all
what
means.
what a crap Black Friday this was. This Black Friday is a joke at this point, and I'm not talking about, oh, I miss the crazy doorbusters and wanting to make a line at 11 and leaving, not having a Thanksgiving dinner. I'm not talking about that aspect of it. If anything, I appreciate the fact that for the most part it didn't look like a lot of the stores were open.
Mhm.
uh
No, a
you know
lot weren't. Yeah.
so I appreciate that. I don't think that's what you know Thanksgiving should be about. The but no, the aspect that I'm referring to is the actual sales this year, more than any year before. I have seen the practice uh, of all the retailers just inflating the normal price of an item, inflating it maybe 30 seconds before the day, just to say, hey, this item was $500, but you could get it on Black Friday for 250. The regular fucking price of the item the whole year round.
The whole year long. Yeah.
And I know this has happened before already, but this year in particular, I have some uh, um, extensions installed on my browser that let me keep track of pricing on particular items that I'm interested.
Mhm.
Actually, there's a really good one called Keepa that you could download, and it keeps track of pretty much everything on Amazon. And if you're ever gonna buy something and you want to find out, like, oh, has this gone down in price before, or should I wait because historically about this time of year it tends to go down, or whatnot, uh, you can see because it'll show you like a little measurement thing, like a bar
Mhm.
or something. Anyway, it just it's so blatant, it's ridiculous on items that I had that from the get go, the actual real MSRP is 250, just to give you an example. That's the normal price, and and it has always been that. But on Black Friday, they're selling it to you for uh
250.
240, 240. I don't think they go as crass as to put the same actual price. But instead of saying, well, this is like a whatever $10 less is converted to a percent, no, they'll say this is a 70% off of the actual price of $600 or whatever. It's so stupid. That was horrible math, by the way, but I'm just giving you an
No, but I
example.
got what you're saying.
But yeah, you get the gist. You get the gist.
Mhm.
It's like it has been so blatant, and even like even the Steam sales and the Epic store, and I will argue even the flash sale on PlayStation, and I don't know if Xbox has done anything. I will assume they have, but even those have been disappointing. Like I haven't found anything in particular. Yeah, a couple of titles here. They like I told you that I grabbed uh Wonder Boy, and you grab a couple games also.
Mhm.
But for the most part, it's like no, this is not a great price actually. This is just like a
To be fair,
like
the
a
one I got,
discount.
Ghost Runner, literally just came out, and I think it's $30, and I got it for 22. So I was like, I get it
That's
though.
not
It just
that's not
came out.
terrible.
Then they
Yeah,
just slashed
it
that
just
shit in
came out.
half. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I get that. But the other one was definitely more than half. It was 15. What I say, $15 for Curse of the Night. No. Oh my god, dude, what's the name of that freaking game?
Of that you got?
Curse of the Moon.
Blood stained ritual tonight.
Bloodstain, Ritual of the Night. It was
Yeah,
at $15 and normal price is $39.99. So
yeah.
that was a good deal. So I hear you. I hear it. And we had a little moment where we went to see I was telling you about a TV that they slashed in half. That's normally that price anyway. So it really wasn't
It was
any slash in half. And it was like, well, isn't
it's
that
not
some
flashing
shit?
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think of all the Black Friday deals that I've seen, the only one that I have looked at and I can say, okay, this is actually a decent price. Not counting maybe games that that I own already. Obviously, I wasn't looking for shopping, so I don't know about those. But I did see, even though I own this game also. But Star Wars Rogue Squadron,
Hmm.
or not Rogue Squadron, Star Wars Squadrons, uh, was the only one that I saw the console version at $17 and on GameStop, and I was like, okay, that's decent, because that game came out not too long ago, and that game's not expensive because that game is $39.99, already, but you know, less than $20. That's actually more than half off for a game that came out not too long ago.
Hmm. Yeah,
But that was it.
that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. Everything else is like, yeah, like
Yeah,
sort of
it's
whatever.
I in
Even
some ways
TVs.
I can't blame a lot of, well, first off, if you're going to play the game like that where you falsely say it's 50% off, but that's only because the main price you're showing now as 50% higher, and that's why it looks like it's half off, but it's not really half off. That's bullshit, and
Yeah, that's
that shit
bullshit.
should stop.
That's
And let me tell
ineffective.
you, there's plenty of places that do that.
Yeah,
Publix does that all the
yeah.
fucking time. Okay, Publix is for those who are not in our area. Publix is a supermarket in our area that loves their BOGOs, and BOGOs
That
are
buy one get
great.
one.
But then when you go look at the price, you go, "Wow, this is a lot higher than it normally is."
Yeah.
Well, that's because you're buying two. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like this is not really new. Maybe it's new to this particular type of stuff that we're looking at, but it's
Yeah.
definitely not new practice. But at the same time, I can look at, if you really look at the year and just look at the you and I, and I say this all the time, you, myself, my wife, your wife too, because she works the same place we do. We're kind of in a blessed position where our lives were not interrupted by what happened. You know what I mean? And
Mm.
so, we still are working. We're still making the same money we did before, and so nothing is interrupted other than the fact that we have to stay indoors.
Mm.
There are a lot of people who don't have that, that still have to work or have lost work. And so you look at that, you go, well, I get that. And there's companies and shit that just shut down, altogether.
Yeah.
And so because of that, there's just money's bleeding everywhere. So I can see why the deals aren't normally there as they would be. I mean, the flip
Yeah.
side of that, you can say, well, because people are so strapped for stuff, why don't they cut more? It's like, well, just like those people are strapped, so are these companies who are like, damn, we need to make something. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like you still have bottom lines to meet. Um, Not that I'm como se dice, a capitalist
Advocating for.
forgiver. Yeah, not that I'm
Yeah.
not in any way saying that that's the way. But at the same time, a business is still a business and still needs to be able to function. And so I kind of understand. It still sucks. It sucks like big time, especially when I'm like, I'm looking around, just like, well, let me see what I can. I used to cherry pick a lot of shit throughout the years. You know what I mean? It's like, man, you'd come out with like a steal, like you spend $100 and you got like, I don't know, 8 or 9 items that you're like, man, made out like a
Yeah.
bandit. But not this year. You're right. There is
No.
just there is just
It,
nothing.
it has been.
Um,
It was very. It was very lame that the sell themselves. I'm glad. Like I mentioned, there's no fucking reason to go shopping after Thanksgiving dinner. That's
Agree.
kind of dumb and pointless. Yeah. Especially now that you can get anything and everything online. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's all. And
All
that's
right.
not our hot topic. So that was
That's
just
not about
something.
that was just
Our
Dream
hot topic is
Twisters
worse.
rant. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Actually, it is worse. Our hot topic again, guys, is next gen's buggy launch. And so before we get into the quote unquote bugs of said launch, I wanted to real quick go back to the struggles of even obtaining one of these fucking consoles.
Well, that's the major
Uh,
bug right there. Obtaining.
sure, we can definitely call that a bug as well. This is just one scalper, UK scalper group, I guess,
Mhm.
claims it has snagged 3,500 PlayStation 5 consoles. And this is a scalper group. So now this particular group, of course, is selling those the digital version at 1,000 euros and 1,500 for the other for the disc version on eBay. They just that group alone was able to snag 3,500. So if you just put into just look into the void that is the
Mhm.
internet and just extrapolate that out to all the possible groups out there that are obviously trying to obtain these and sell them
Yeah.
for profit, you can
Yeah.
definitely see where all that stock went. And I don't know about you, but that really made me just go, you know what? I don't fucking want any of them right now. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I am fine with what I have.
if you're one of the people that buys from scalper, get the fuck out of our group, you loser. Unless you have a lot of money, in which case then we don't want to manage your
Then
money.
more power to you.
And more
Yeah.
power to you. Yes. Welcome back. uh, no, the argument that I was having the other day with someone about this bot ordering is a real thing now.
Oh
It
yeah.
used to be it used to be a it used to be something that originally affected a lot of like fa- fashion, limited item fashion, especially sneakers. It used to
Sneakers,
be
tickets.
tickets, yeah,
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, tickets, stuff like that. And now it has jumped into like our hobby, and in my case, doubly so because it
It is right.
has interrupted, yeah, the world of computers with video card scalping and gaming consoles. So of course we. It's not that we can say it's not that I mean I don't justify scalping. Fuck them. I understand the reasoning on it because the demand's high. There are people willing to sell it. Fuck it. If I just got a PS5 and I was walking to my car and I got someone that saw me on the street and told me, "I'll give you $1,500 for it right now," I'll be like, "Okay, let's go to the bank and let's cash that check. Give me cash, and then
Yep.
and congratulations." Like I understand that that point of it. The practice, the thing is, on this company, on these stores, they more than anything, because you can't blame Sony for making a very desirable system, or Xbox, that not leave them behind. Come on, I'm
Oh, no, for
sure
sure. Yeah,
the people
yeah.
are
Either
scalping
or.
Xboxes also.
Yeah.
You can go to eBay, they're probably not costing $2,000, but still, let's be real. Um,
Yeah, it's still happening on their end as well,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
You can't blame this company for making a desirable product. It's the retailers, that don't have, that they live in this century. They still don't have the infrastructure to combat those things. Whether it's making a queue system, like we used to take pre-orders. What happened to that? We
Even the queue
advocated to.
system, even the queue system is busted because if in the matter of seconds it takes to open up, you have a bot that is there. It's not a bot, but hundreds of bots in line already, stacked up. By the time it takes you to go in and do it, there are already hundreds of fucking bots already set up in front of you,
Yeah,
and
I'm
and
not
still
saying
the
it's.
same queue system that doesn't correct it.
No, but it
Um,
tears it. A bot could get,
it could,
maybe the group, maybe let's say if it was one, one user, and one user was able to get thousands of whatever of PlayStation before, uh, on a queue system, you wouldn't be able to effectively do it like that. And I'm not talking about queue system like Sony is doing with the Direct, because fuck that. That's not a queue system. That's not what I'm referring to. So Sony Direct has a thing where whenever they put consoles for sale, uh, the website, instead of fucking crashing, which is worse, and going like Walmart, oh dear, with the oh
oh
dear
god,
webpage, uh, or with GameStop all crumbling before our eyes. What Sony does is that it kind of puts your IP address on a line, kind of like if you were making a virtual line to go into the store to get the item. Problem with that is the stock will run out faster than it can satisfy the queue. So maybe a tenth of the queue, whoever IP address were lucky enough to jump in first, usually bots like you
yeah,
mentioned,
I'm saying usually bots,
are
yeah.
able to go in and place the order and fuck the rest. No, I'm talking about something like one company of all of them, out there, uh, and that company is EVGA, has been doing with the releases of their video cards. People go in and sign up for Notify Me, and you know what happens? And this might come as a shock. When you sign for Notifying, they notify you. I know it's I
What a
I, I
concept.
know it's crazy. They notify you. They tell you it's your time to order. You have 8 hours to complete your order. If you don't do anything in 8 hours, then we're gonna pick the next person up, and that way you're already in line. You already know that at some point, all you gotta do is just wait for your turn. That is the real queue system that I'm talking about, not the one that Sony Direct does, where it dissolves and then you go back in again. Which this week, by the way, before I decided to not do it anymore, uh, Sony had a queue, and I went in to the point where it was my time to go into the store. I went into the store and it was showing out of stock. But of course, they hadn't released the drop just yet. They hadn't actually released the title. So my time was basically over. At some point the website just kicked me out. It kicked me to the back of the line, and like 2 minutes after that, they put stock in. They put stock in, and like let's say 100 people got, or whatever amount the little amount they had, was able to order it. Even though I was on the queue before, but by the time that it was my turn to go in, they hadn't put the stock in just yet. So that doesn't work. That doesn't work.
No,
Uh,
and my only issue with, so yeah, the queue thing when done correctly, I can see why it would work. The only issue there is you just said you're giving them 8 hours to actually complete this. So this doesn't open the next one until that 8 hours is done or that person makes that order.
well,
Which
it's not. Keep in mind, it's not literally one by one.
no, I
Obviously,
know. It's
yeah. So
a select amount by select amount. No,
it's a
no, I
select
know
group.
what you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah. You're
Yeah,
still in queue. You're still in the queue, regardless of when
correct.
when
But
it's
the
your
whole
turn.
deal is that so there's like you said before, about the scalp, the person who wants to buy one
Hmm.
at that price. The same mentality is is shared by the retailers, and even Sony and Xbox and Microsoft, to a certain extent, because in the end they're like, well, our inventory's sold, we're still doing fine. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And the retail's going, our inventory's sold, we're still doing fine. Doesn't matter how it happened, but it
Hmm.
happened. There's no actual, anything forcing them to do anything differently, because in the end, they're still making the sale. You know what I mean? Whoever's buying it, if it's 500 bots buying these 500 consoles, or 500 people buying these consoles, we don't care, because 500 people are buying, 500 consoles are coming off our shelves. That's all that matters to
Hmm.
them. The difference, I think, would come in, and I hate to say that there should be some sort of intervention, but the scalping of virtual tickets and stuff like that is illegal if using bots. But that's it. That
Hmm.
doesn't include sneakers. That doesn't include this. That doesn't include anything else.
Yeah.
And it's because mostly that's how the whole bot thing started, with these fucking, Broadway and all this stuff. Scalping tickets have been around forever. That's been
Yeah.
around
Right.
more than anything else. So that was the first thing to get, some sort of, legislation saying, going, no, this can't happen, this needs to stop, it's illegal to use bots to claim tickets.
Yeah.
um but it obviously hasn't expanded to anything else, and I don't think there's a push from anyone, because again, the only one who would push for that would be the consumer. The consumer's like, I'll just wait. Just wait for it to come out. They're not pushing either. So there's no major motion to go into that direction to make those bots illegal. And as you say, they're just getting worse. So I think at some point we probably should say, hey, how do we get these fucking bots shit to be, illegitimized in some way, to say, hey, these guys shouldn't be doing this, because all that's doing is flooding the markets with these higher price things that weren't that price when it was originally meant to be sold.
Hmm.
And it's just artificially inflating the price of these things. So
Yeah. All
so
I'm
I
saying is
think
that
that's.
if there was a store, if there was a store that would allow me to put my name on it, just like a VGA does, your name and your address and all that, because you got to register to be able to do this. You
Hmm.
proper register, I mean, um, and just guarantee me a spot whenever that spot will come in. I'll just sit, I'll just sit and wait. I wouldn't have to, because because it takes away from having to go on the hunt, on that. Oh, if this store has it now, let's try to get into. Let's open 20 tabs and try to F5 real fast, and be and see if we could get the lottery, the lottery in, which it has been what had been happening on every other retailer, and I've only seen it work right with one. And I say work right because I signed up for it. I got my announcement. I got my notifications. I actually got more than one because I was uh, I was interested on different models of it.
Hmm.
Uh, but of course, I was able to get the lottery, and buy one of the 3080s from the video website by pure luck, and of course I notify them that no, I'm not interested on it anymore. They can they can give my
Put it
card
back
away.
in. Yeah,
They
yeah,
can
yeah.
put it back
Give it up.
in rotation. Yeah, yeah. But that's that's cool. That's and nobody has done it. That's what I would like
Yeah.
to see.
So that's just one aspect of this launch that has been in many ways infuriating, specifically because I was this was I haven't I said it before, I have not pre-ordered something or bought something at launch since the Nintendo 64.
Mm.
And I wasn't keen on doing it, but at the same time I was like, yes, I know that Demon Souls is coming to it, and it's the only way you're going to play it. I wanted to play that version of Miles Morales, and I
Mm.
was like, hey, everything I have is just going to
Cyberpunk.
automatically upgrade into that system. It's Cyberpunk
Mm.
2077 as well. So I was like, okay, but it is what it is, not available, and so I have to wait. But are we going to be waiting to get a not 100% you know shall we call it street ready console? Unfortunately, uh there has been some issues with a lot of the next gen consoles. I only have the PlayStation 5 specific ones here. There is some mentions of the Series X as well, and I'll see if I can kind of pinpoint that. But here's
Okay,
just
okay.
from there's a couple of interesting little tidbits that happen with the PlayStation 5. And this is, for instance, if you have a headset plugged into your DualSense controller and the headset either A, runs out of battery, or B, turns off based on, inactivity if you just put everything down, then you lose sound completely. And the only way to gain the sound back is to reboot the console.
Oh
It
wow.
doesn't matter if you turn the controller back on, or use a different one, or unplug the headset and use a speaker. Only a reboot will return the sound of any kind. That's crazy,
Yeah.
and that's console, not software, as
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned. It's an interesting technical bug, but of course, the one that we hear a lot of, specifically with PlayStation 5, are crashes, game crashes,
Mm.
for apparently no real reason. Um, and so I remember hearing a podcast, and that was something they said it very nonchalantly. And I was like, how is that something you guys are brushing over? Then I realized the two people I'm listening to are PC players. And I'm like, oh, so this
Yeah.
is just the world you're used to, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I'm not used to that, and that shit needs to be fucking fixed, as far as I'm concerned, because that's not console life, my friend. That's PC life. Y'all go crash your shit all left and right. That's why I couldn't finish playing Dragon Age Origins,
Origins. Yeah.
because the shit decided to crash, and they couldn't figure shit out. Nowhere I went can figure that shit out. It's like, well, great. Now I have a game I paid $7 for that is literally useless, taking up space in my laptop. So, sir, what do you think of these game crashes? You mentioned before that you feel that's more of a software thing. I would agree if it was one specific game that had the issue, but if it's every game, is that still software?
It could be because it could be even though consoles don't have drivers that you download per se,
Mm-hmm.
which has always been the joke of update the latest drivers on PC. That's what you got to do. Haha.
Yes, it is.
Consoles still use drivers in a way. They're just not. They come in the form of the stability updates that you receive on your firmware updates, basically, and stuff like that, and even game patches, because the driver is still there still needs to be a way for for the software to speak to the hardware and tell it what it needs to do, how it needs to render or whatnot. I think the problem that we have had with this launches, uh, I think we see it on PlayStation 5. I was trying to check for Xbox, and I'm not seeing too much, but it does have its hardware issues.
Yeah, I'm
Some
looking
argue
into it
that it
now
could be
as you're
even
talking.
worse.
Yeah.
But uh, but the problem we're seeing this um, I think that we're seeing a lot is because think of think of the difficulties of developing for a a brand new system during a pandemic, and the access. All these companies, of course, they have to have access. Even if you were working from home, you have to have access to the resources, that you need to complete your job. However, virtualizing all that makes it less efficient,
Hmm.
and the less efficient you work, the longer it takes to get things done, obviously. And now you're working more with less time allotted, because they're not gonna delay the fucking launches. So
Well, that's the thing.
at
I
some
said it.
point,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I was gonna say at some point they have to look at it and be like, we need to release it in this state. It runs for the majority of time, uh, and we'll patch things up as the reports come. I don't think the PlayStation 5 has an inherent hardware problem. If
Yeah.
anything, yeah, yeah. If anything, there is one in particular that is concerning. I'm not gonna downplay it, because one of the memory area, of, if you guys haven't seen this, um, Gamers Nexus, which is a YouTube channel that I watch. They tend to do very technical analysis of hardware. This is I will tell you, this is not the stuff for everybody. I didn't send it to you, Matt, because I didn't think you were gonna watch a 30-minute video about it, even though it was about the PS5. But they basically took thermal analysis of different sections of the PlayStation
Oh, the
5,
PlayStation
and
5.
how
Yeah.
yeah, and how hot they will get. And they noticed that there was one particular set of memory that was running out of spec. It was getting as hot as 95 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah. That's where
So
my concern comes in. I didn't
yeah.
see the whole thing. Um, but there was, I don't know, there was an article that was either link in within that, and I just kind of jumped off of that. And I did kind of look a little bit further into that. Yeah, that's a nothing wrong, at the
Mhm.
moment. It's just running hot. Um, and so nothing has shown any. There's no failure rate or any type of stuff, but that is definitely something to be concerned about
That
as
is
time goes
hot.
by.
That is hot. Sorry, I need to make a correction.
Mhm.
95 degrees Celsius, not Fahrenheit, because that's
Oh,
nothing.
that is hot.
Celsius. My apologies. My apologies. My apologies. I meant Celsius. I get fucked up with. I always think that whenever I'm measuring heat, I should measure in Fahrenheit for some reason, and that's not really the case. Even though we should be using Fahrenheit. Anyway, that's either near nor there. It is 90 to 95 degrees Celsius that is getting. That is that is scalding hot. That is, you can't put your finger on that
Hmm.
without getting burned.
That's
Uh,
200 degrees. Over
that
200 degrees.
Yeah, yeah. When you think about it, it's. I mean, and granted, these chips are usually rated for some of these chips are could be rated to maintain uh, temperatures as high as 105 degrees Celsius. So when they mean that they're out of spec, that they're running out of spec, is because you don't want to run them continuously that high. Because at best, what could happen is that you start getting performance issues, because the system is going to try to control the temperature, is going to try to throttle itself, because it doesn't want to burn to ashes. So it's going to try to control, a little bit. In the worst case scenarios, it will it will have significant wear um I call it weird. That's not the right term, but it's basically the chip. The harder you run chips, you're shortening the lifespan. There you go. You're
Mm-hmm.
shortening the lifespan of a chip that runs too hard. Now that lifespan could be shortening it from 10 years to 5 years, and you probably don't care because that's usually when the consoles break anyway, right? Because they never last. Nobody has a launch a launch system that has lasted them throughout the entirety of the generation. But
Well, I have a PlayStation 4 that I got April.
I
That would be what 5 6 months later after launch.
yeah,
Not
I know
technically a launch one, but definitely an early one. It
it
still
is
runs.
it still run.
Yeah.
The so yeah so the concern in there was and technically here's the kicker. PlayStation has the capacity to cool that a little bit more. They just need to run the fan a little bit faster. But then if they do that, then you start getting complaints from
Of the
people
sound.
about the noise levels.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you do in
So
a case like that?
you run the fan. That's what you do. I mean,
You can
that's what it comes
control,
down
right?
to. I personally, my PlayStation 4, again, PlayStation 4, 2014, I got it, April 2014. Launch, right? The launch happened in November of 2013. That's still the same console I have. It's the one I've been playing everything on, and I play it almost more than anything else. And yes, there are certain games that make it sound like it's going to just take off out of my living room. But I don't hear that when I have my headset on. So, and that's generally how I play my games. So, realistically, turn the fan on. There's no reason for it to be that fucking hot.
At least give us
If you can
control
cool
for it.
it, huh?
Yeah. Give us control so we can decide,
Yeah,
hey, I want to run this in performance mode, let's call it. And performance mode is, well, let's turn on the turbo. Let's run that fan like a jet engine. Who cares?
correct.
It's still
But hey, let's turn that shit on because the reality is that sure, the console itself is 400 for the digital, 500 for the regular. Xbox Series X doesn't seem to have this problem at all. And they designed it in a way where the vent is literally at the very top, so it just lets out all whatever heat that it could possibly have. And this one does as well if you stand it up, because that's what the fucking gill looking thing is. But the reality is like if you have that option to just do it. There's no reason for it to. Why would you run the risk of having some sort of failure happen to your console? Because that is a blemish on your system forever. It's the thing that literally got me to not get an Xbox 360. I was
that's true.
there ready to freaking pay for it only
Yeah.
because of freaking BioShock. And then everyone, almost in unison,
Yeah.
started red ringing. It was just like this ridiculous. It literally was the pandemic of a console. It
Of
just
course. Yeah.
flew out of nowhere. It's like everywhere you looked, it was happening.
Yeah.
There wasn't a person I didn't know who didn't have it, and I was just like, thank you God that ended, because I am when it comes to technical shit like that. I'm not very good with technical shit, but I can get extremely frustrated when shit doesn't work the way it should. And let me tell you, I would have been like livid if that was the case. And here is, Sony, walking the path that clearly these guys had before, because that was a problem with the red ring. It was overheating. Something happened and it was starting to overheat, and then before you know it, it red ring, and I was like, "What? Can't take it no more." And
Yeah.
why would you risk that? It just, to me, I'm just like, why? Just because of the fan, let the fan go. As long as it's a normal sound, like it's not. My concern with the fan has always been: is this supposed to be that loud? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
no, the PlayStation 4 was like, okay, now if I don't play with headphones, I can hear it through the game, which is annoying. Like somebody had something on, right next to when I'm trying to game, which is ridiculous. You kind of accept it because what are you gonna do? But still, it was.
But if it's something that you go, well, that's supposed to be there because it needs to cool. Okay,
Mm.
that's fine. I
Yeah, yeah,
accept it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I can accept it because it's like it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be.
That's
It's
the way.
you're running it on performance mode. That's what it requires. You probably have a gaming headset because most people freaking do. And if you don't, you have earbuds. What the hell? The point is, you know that that's expected. But if you don't know it's expected and you hear the fan, then you start being concerned. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
um, so yeah, that should be that's an easy. Hey, let's cool that spot down. Let's let these PlayStation 5s live longer than 4 to 5 years, because I'm fine with that. You know what I'm saying? I'm okay. I'm all right with the fan. I wanted to point out real quick because it was um the main thing that we hear from the Xbox side is, first off, games do feel buggy, and then you mentioned something
Oh
in
yeah.
the news as well, that there's a lot of bugs and screen tears and a lot of weird things that are happening, which they are looking into to optimize and stuff like that, and they're aware of it. But one thing that seems to come up is the quick resume, which was a feature that was
Yes.
highly touted in their presentations and stuff like that. And quick resume is not, fortunately, working the way it was
It's not.
advertised. Yeah.
It's not reliable. And here's the thing: if you can rely on it, if if you install a switch to turn on the light in your kitchen and it only works 90% of the time, that switch doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
So
That's a
so
fail. That's a huge
that,
fail. you
that
know
that's a yeah that's a fail. That's a fail. And that's a because then if you're depending on it to not save your games, well, you shouldn't. This is more of a convenience feature, but if you get the opportunity before you switch games, save your save your progress. Because as you can see, you can't rely on it 100% because
Yeah.
sometimes
And
it just
nothing,
doesn't work.
correct. And it just doesn't work. And nothing can be more frustrating to a gamer than lost progress.
The lost progress,
Nothing
exactly.
can be more frustrating than. Granted, most games nowadays have autosave feature. Thank
Yeah.
goodness. But at the same time, if it hasn't autosaved in 20, 30 minutes, that's still 20, 30 minutes gone that you have to come back to, that you thought was hanging on, waiting for you to come back.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely. I was not concerned, but I was always like, man, that is a pretty fascinating feature that they were mentioning, and then to hear that it wasn't working, the first thing I thought it was, yeah, well, it was a little bit, it was a little bit far fetched, but I was like, hey, that's what they were saying. It can happen.
Yeah,
And
nothing
technically,
happened. You don't even have that on PC.
yeah. So I was like, well, shit, if they have it, who am I to say that that's not a thing? And to hear it doesn't work 100%, like you said, 90% of the time, this is not a test. That's not how that shit works.
Yeah.
90% of the time means it doesn't work. And so yeah, I agree. That
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
definitely a fail. So, um, in essence, I mean, I'm not gonna go through all the little issues, although there's some pretty funny ones. You know what I mean? That one about the sound though, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Losing sound because whatever, that's bullshit. Sony, you fix that shit. That is bullshit. And that's, again, I think that's, I don't know if that's software or whatever, but I don't know, where, but it's definitely, that's crap. That is absolute. You lose sound altogether. Oh,
to
that's crap.
yeah. To be fair, uh, and this is kind of going back. I want to make sure to mention this before we continue. When I was talking about the memory heat issues on the PS5, we're not saying that is the reason for the crashes. We're
No,
not saying
no,
that.
no. Yeah, yeah.
That's not been confirmed in any way.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely. Yeah.
also, as long as you're not choking your system inside of a unventilated entertainment center, you should be able to have it. It should continue to work because, like I said, even 95 degrees, that is still considered. I mean, that's out of spec for that type of memory that it is. But you could. Here's the interesting thing: you could get kind of like an exception from the manufacturer of the chip to say we're okay with that whatever deficiencies are, because we're responsible for the cost and the RMA and stuff like that. um so I forgot who was the this is actually on the Gamers Nexus a video if you're interested in watching it. But I forgot who was the actual manufacturer of those memberships. But like I said, you could get the Sony could request an exception for that chip to run at that level, at that heat level,
Hmm.
and be okay with it. And maybe in their tests, because you have to assume they have done the test. The problem is, like I said, the
Yeah.
pandemic is an issue. It's an issue that has put some strain on efficiency overall in the workplace. So it could have affected some of the results, or even some of the testing itself. We don't know. Um, I think in the particular case that we're having with this console with Sony and Xbox Series X and S is mostly software. It's mostly stuff that you can fix with software, with an update, with a firmware
With
update,
a patch. Yeah, of some
with a
sort.
patch.
Mhm.
Whether that patch come from the games themselves, uh, to the to the actual console manufacturer. I don't think we have yet to have a red ring situation. That's not what's
No, and
happening. That's not
I'm
what
not
we're reporting.
correct.
Uh,
No, no, no. And I want to make sure I clarify that as well. It's like I'm not saying that that's what's bound to happen. I don't believe that's what's bound to happen, but I'm just saying, you know, heat and electronics are never a good thing. And
no, that's true.
so, I mean, granted, sure, you have your acceptable levels, and there's always acceptable levels. But if you're at the very line of set acceptable levels, well, yeah, it's kind of concerning. You know what I mean? So that's really all I'm trying to say is like, keep this in mind that that's a thing. And as I mentioned to Dream Twister, it's like, you know, the red ring was those type of things that
Mhm.
it was it was already in households and already building towards that by the
Mhm.
time it finally started
It was a
happening.
time bomb. It was a
It was
time bomb.
yeah, it was a time.
I had two Xboxes in my household that died within a day of each, or a couple of days of each other.
Yeah.
Uh,
And you
so
weren't the only one. It
yeah.
happened. It happened. Like I said, it seemed to happen to everyone all at the same time,
Mhm.
within weeks of each other, and it was just like it was incredible. And it's because that was the line. Whatever was wrong with the system, we reached the line at that point, and everyone who got that early console was reaching that point. And so that I don't want to see that happen with the PlayStation 5. I'm not saying that it will. I'm just saying when you have something that's already running hot, then you add to that just time, right? You add you're in your house, and you know what? Consoles, like it or not, they start to collect dust inside, and that
Mhm.
dust makes it even more hotter in there, and all that stuff happens. You just don't know what the case may be, which is why I'm like, you should just fucking turn the fan on. Fucking turn the fan on. There's just no reason why you wouldn't do that. But anyway, I want to before we wrap this, I want to kind of uh touch on where are you now with your next gen aspirations, if you will,
Mhm.
as far as claiming it. You specifically, Dream Twister on PC, so obviously a lot of third party stuff is like, well, I'll just get it on PC. It'll be, I'll tweak it as I need to tweak it because that's what the fucking PC guys do, and they fucking tweak and all this shit. So
My
I'll
3080
I'll
runs at a toasty 75 degrees Celsius when I'm gaming. So
there you go. So I assume, I don't know where you're at with that particularly, as far as getting the next gen. Where are you at?
I
Are
think
you are you okay with waiting or
so. So I mean, I wanted to get the system they want originally. Uh, and it's funny because I wasn't thinking about it because that I had already spent money on a video card, so I was like,
yeah,
I'll wait. But then the hype got to me, and hearing the reports and seeing the games running, and and hearing about how great it does with your. I think what did it for me at the end was hearing about how great it ran your existing library. That's what
yeah,
got me like psyched because I was like, oh shit, now I guess I could, I missed on Ghost of Tsushima. Now I have no problem. I can buy the Ghost of Tsushima and play it. an incredible frame rate, and Last of Us 2 and all that joy. Um, so I went on a day one, and I try, man. I told you guys last week. Uh, I I I had a, secured a GameStop bundle, an 800 and some of dollars bundle, uh, just to get it canceled the next morning. You know, so talk
You
about.
know, you know
And
what's
by
funny
the
is my wife was like, "Oh, it's probably gonna cancel him."
of course,
She
your wife will
literally
say
called it.
that. Of course, she will. She will send the bad vibes. Of course, she will do that to me. Just to wait until I see her. No, actually, in all honesty, she probably saved me from spending $800 on a freaking console. No, the thing that I want to say that I found kind of hilarious. Um, Side note here is that you go on Reddit, and I love the fact that they have appropriated, not appropriated, but they have pretty much, yeah, I guess appropriated this meme. You know the meme of the of the guy putting himself the clown makeup, you know, little by
Hmm.
little, like by steps, and each
Yeah, yeah.
step is almost like, this is me, you know, expecting to get a PlayStation 5 on Black Friday or something like that, and by the time they say Black Friday, it's the full clown uh, makeup on already. Well, they have pretty much uh, uh, put it to where the act of getting an order to then have it cancel, it just means that you are clown timed,
Wow.
basically. And that's what they call it. So you got clown time, and they put the clown emoji on it. Yep, I guess. Oh, GameStop, or yeah, GameStop announced they're gonna have a drop. I guess it's clown time.
Wow.
Because it's pretending that you're gonna get something that you really know, or your chances are incredibly slim. Walmart is gonna put a bundle. Oh, clown time.
That
So
explains the little clown emojis I've been seeing. Okay.
yes, it's yes. It comes from this. I love that they have. It's kind of like one of those funny things to remember back when, or in the future when we all have our PlayStation 5 Slims, and we'll be talking about, remember the launch of the PlayStation 5? What a clusterfuck it was.
What a clusterfuck it was. Yeah.
But you asked
Uh,
me you asked me what my current stance is, and I would say that I'm not actively looking for it anymore. For me to get it now, it'll have to be, hey, I just by chance went on Amazon and it was available. I pressed buy now, and it actually gave it to me, and it actually sent me a tracking number. Because I'm not gonna believe on, and you guys don't believe either if you're doing clown time. Don't believe in order confirmations. That is worth shit.
yeah.
I got a confirmation that it was gonna ship by December 2nd. I was gonna have it at hand, and the very next day I got the cancellation. So, not even the have a tracking number, and if it's from Amazon, make sure that you spot that driver and you tell them to hold on while you open the box, and you make sure that you actually got your PlayStation 5 and not cat food or something else. Uh, because now they report that even Amazon drivers are stealing PlayStation 5s, which is
Wow.
not surprising. So yeah, man, I think I'm gonna wait, unless it's a literally a no effort get. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna clown face anymore. I'm
Yeah.
done.
I'm
I'm putting
done.
my makeup away.
Yeah. I personally, I am done looking for it. I first off, I have a ridiculous backlog that plays fine and stable on my PlayStation 4, for the record. So, um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't see anything making me leap at the moment. It wouldn't be unheard of. Like I said, it came out in November of 2013. I got PlayStation 4 in the following April. So wouldn't be the first time. Wouldn't be, and
And you
definitely gonna be the
survived.
last time. And yeah, I survived, and I was able to catch up with a lot of things. It was only the PlayStation 3 that I missed several years because I was not paying $600 fucking dollars for a console at that point, and so I
Call
was
yourself a
like
Sony fanboy.
the
I say, and you call yourself a Sony
yeah,
fanboy.
yeah. Well, I no, I don't call myself that. People call me that, but I don't
You
call
say,
myself
yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. No, wait.
Yeah, I don't call myself that. People call me
No,
that,
no, no,
but
no. I don't know who called you that.
yeah, people call me that. But no,
Take it.
I have no problem not buying into something, and there's always some other way of playing a lot of these games. So I'm gonna wait, and I'm gonna
Yeah,
wait, until the scalpers have sold their lot
yeah,
and the stocks, start to come back up, and hopefully at that point, production of these consoles have improved, and then I'll buy in. And I don't see it going too far, but apparently, I did read an article or an update to an article stating that Sony has sold out of its stock that's
yeah,
available for this year. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
anything that you're ordering at these point, guys, is probably next year, or definitely next year at this point. So yeah, I'm okay with waiting. I've got a good amount of a backlog, and I have even when you throw into the Switch a couple games that I ended up buying recently. I'm like, well, shit, I even more games just sitting there. So I'm okay with waiting. I'm okay with
That's
waiting,
right. You
and
own a Switch, so
I do own a Switch. Yeah, I do own a Switch, and I
you don't
still
need the
have.
next gen.
Yeah, I still have many games that were launched like early on the Switch where I haven't gone back. Never played Breath of the Wild and a bunch of other games. That I can dive into. So yeah. So I think yeah. No more rush, no more F5ing. I'm done with that.
No more clown
So
face, no more clown
no more clown
time.
facing. No more clown
Uh,
facing.
that's
All
good.
right.
And it
Yeah,
feels
for sure.
good. It feels like this afternoon. I think I mentioned the GameStop had a release or a drop, and I was like, I'm not even gonna bother because
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not worth it, man.
Yep. Exactly. It's not worth it. So
I don't want to be a clown.
all right, guys. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. And as always, please go to goodgame.rocks and join the conversation there. And of course, like, subscribe, share the podcast with everyone. This is Mad Dog signing off for this week, saying, "Don't worry, guys. Next gen will be there for you. It's not. It's okay if you have to wait a little bit longer. It's all right. We're waiting
Yeah.
too." Mr. David Santos, take us home, sir.
And to follow up on that, Cyberpunk will run fine on your current gen consoles, or I guess we should be calling them last gen consoles. So don't you worry if you haven't gotten one. And if you have already, congratulations. Don't worry about this report. Like we mentioned, we're not reporting that there's any problems with it or anything like that. At least nothing that can't be resolved with some stability updates. And you know, if you follow Sony, you know Sony loved the stability updates.
Those shits are coming, guys.
Those shits are
Those shits
coming, and
are
they're coming in
yeah,
droves. You're probably gonna have one every week
yeah,
because they
exactly.
love releasing that, and that's
Brace
great.
brace yourself.
Right.
Firmware updates are coming.
Exactly. Brace yourself. Exactly. That's right.
That's awesome. All right, guys. So I guess we'll see you next week.